Chioma Okafor had the kind of beauty that made people turn their heads twice, not just because she was stunning, tall for her age, smooth-skinned, always dressed like a rich girl who knew she owned the world, but because she carried herself like royalty. Her steps were confident. Her eyes were sharp. And her mouth. Oh, her mouth was even sharper than her eyes. At 15, Chioma already believed life was designed to bow to her. She lived in a mansion in Lekki, one of those houses that look too perfect to be real. The kind of house with shining tiles that reflected your face like a mirror. The kind of house where even the air smelled expensive. In that house, Chioma was not just a child, she was a princess. An only child, and to her parents, she was everything. Mr. Okafor, her father, was a wealthy businessman whose name opened doors in Lagos. People feared him, respected him, and praised him. But the moment he saw his daughter, the strong man turned soft. Chioma could ask for the moon and he would start looking for a way to buy it. Mrs. Okafor, her mother, was a socialite who lived for luxury, parties, and appearances. She loved Chioma deeply, but in her mind, love meant spoiling her. Love meant saying yes to everything. Love meant removing every hardship from her daughter's path, and because of that, Chioma grew into a girl who didn't understand the meaning of no, glowing star the spoilt princess. One morning, Chioma stepped out of her room, dressed in a perfectly ironed school uniform that looked like it came straight from a fashion show. Her long hair was neatly styled. Her perfume floated around her like smoke. Downstairs, the driver rushed to open the car door. "Good morning, small madam," he greeted respectfully. Chioma didn't even look at him properly. "I beg shift," she said, her voice cold. "Don't breathe near me. You people always smell like engine oil." The driver's face fell for a second, but he quickly hid the pain behind a forced smile. Inside, her mother came run. "Trey, Chioma, my princess," Mrs. Okafor said sweetly. "Take your breakfast." Chioma glanced at it like it was poison. "Mommy, I'm not eating that ugly food." Mrs. Okafor laughed like it was a joke. "Oh Chioma, you and your mouth. Okay, take biscuits. Don't let my baby go hungry." Chioma collected it carelessly and walked out. "No thank you." No smile. Nothing. She sat inside the car and immediately raised her phone, checking herself in the front camera like a celebrity. Then she called her father. "Daddy," she said softly, suddenly sounding like an angel, "I need a new iPhone." Her father sighed. "Chioma, didn't I buy one last month?" Chioma rolled her eyes. "Daddy, that one is old. It's embarrassing." Mr. Okafor chuckled even though the request made no sense. Okay. I'll send money." And Chioma smiled. "Love you, Daddy." That was Chioma. She could switch from rude to sweet whenever she wanted. She knew how to manipulate love. She knew she had power. At school, Chioma was popular, not because she was kind, but because she was rich. People wanted to be close to her so they could enjoy her shine. She walked into the school compound that day, and heads turned. Some girls whispered, jealous, "See her bags. See her shoes." Chioma no dey repeat cloth. Chioma enjoyed it. She loved being admired. She loved being feared. She loved being talked about. Then she saw Amoka. Amoka was not flashy like Chioma. She was quiet, simple, focused, always minding her books. She came from a struggling background, but you would never hear her complain. She carried herself with dignity even when life was unfair to her. As Amoka passed, she smiled politely. "Good morning, Chioma." Chioma looked at her and laughed. "Who be this one greeting me like her mate?" Amoka paused, slightly embarrassed, but she still tried to remain calm. "I was just greeting, I beg shift." Chioma snapped. "Don't disturb me with your poverty greetings." Laughter erupted around them. Amoka lowered her eyes and walked away quietly, swallowing her pain like a bitter pill. In class, Chioma's arrogance became louder. When the teacher asked for assignments, Chioma didn't even pretend. Sir, I didn't do it. The teacher frowned. Why? Chioma leaned back in her chair like a queen on a throne. Because I don't need it. My daddy can buy this whole school. For a moment, the classroom was silent. Even the air seemed shocked. The teacher stared at her with disappointment. Chioma, he said slowly, pride is a disease. It doesn't kill immediately. But when it starts, it does not stop. Chioma scoffed. She didn't believe in warnings. She believed in money. After school, she met Kenny. Kenny was the type of boy parents feared. Rich, reckless, flashy. A boy who always looked like trouble and smelled like expensive cologne. He smiled at Chioma when he saw her. Baby girl, he said, party tonight. My parents traveled. No adults. Chioma's eyes sparkled with excitement. I'm coming, she said. But no boring people. Kenny laughed. You're the queen of enjoyment. I like that. That night, Chioma entered the party like she was entering her palace. Music was loud. Drinks were flowing. Teens were doing things they shouldn't be doing. Chioma didn't care. She was enjoying life. Then Kenny handed her a drink in a cup that looked innocent. Take, he said. This one will make you feel like heaven. Chioma smirked. I'm already heaven. She drank. At first, it felt normal, then her body began to feel strange, her eyes blurred. The room started spinning. The music sounded like it was underwater. Kenny. She whispered, holding her head, what is happening to me? Kenny's smile faded. Relax no, he said quickly, but his eyes were suddenly avoiding hers. Chioma tried to stand, her legs failed her, and just like that, the proud princess of Lekki collapsed to the ground like a doll with broken strings. Mr. and Mrs. Okafor rushed to the hospital like their lives depended on it, because it did. Mrs. Okafor was crying uncontrollably. My daughter. My only child. She kept repeating. The doctor came out, serious and tired. She reacted to a substance, he explained. Another 10 minutes and the situation would have been worse. Mr. Okafor's face turned dark. What substance? He demanded, his voice full of fury and fear. The doctor shook his head. We can't say exactly yet. But what I can tell you is, your daughter is playing with death. Mrs. Okafor faintly sobbed. Mr. Okafor clenched his jaw, staring at his hands like a man who had suddenly realized he had failed as a father. When Chioma finally opened her eyes, she didn't even seem sorry. She didn't even seem scared. She looked at her parents like they were disturbing her. Back home the next day, Chioma sat comfortably in the living room, chewing fruit like nothing happened. Mr. Okafor stood in front of her, quiet but boiling. Do you realize you almost died? He asked. Chioma shrugged. Daddy, I'm fine. Mrs. Okafor's eyes widened. Chioma. Chioma sighed, annoyed. Mommy, please don't start. Mr. Okafor's voice dropped low. You are going to the village. Chioma froze. Village. She repeated like the word was an insult. Daddy, are you mad? Mrs. Okafor gasped. Chioma. But Mr. Okafor didn't flinch. You will stay with my elder sister, he said firmly. Madam Ifioma. Chioma laughed in disbelief. I'm not going anywhere. You can't do that. Mr. Okafor's eyes burned. I can, he said. And I will. Because if I leave you here, you will destroy yourself. And I will not bury my only child. That night, Chioma cried, not because she was sorry, but because she felt offended. When Chioma arrived at the village, she nearly screamed, red soil everywhere. Children running barefoot. Goats walking like they owned the road. No AC. No luxury. No perfect life, this place is suffering. Chioma shouted, then Madam Ifioma appeared. She was not like Chioma's mother. Her face was firm, her eyes were strict, her body carried the strength of a woman who had survived many storms. She looked at Chioma once and already understood everything. You are welcome, she said. Chioma scoffed. I'm not staying here. My skin will spoil in this dirty place. The slap that followed was loud. Chioma held her cheek, shocked. You slapped me. She cried. Madam Ifeoma's voice was calm, deadly calm. In this house, she said, you will learn respect. If you misbehave, you will learn pain. And for the first time in her life, Chioma felt fear, real fear. Days passed. Weeks passed. Chioma suffered. She fetched water from the stream. She swept the compound. She ate food she once called ugly. She bathed with cold water. She slept without AC. And nobody begged her, nobody pampered her, nobody treated her like a princess. At school in the village, she saw Amoka again, calm, humble, and strong. Amoka looked at Chioma and didn't laugh. She didn't mock her, she just said softly, welcome. But Chioma was still bitter. She still tried to act tough, but her pride was slowly cracking. One evening, rain fell heavily, and Chioma sat outside crying. Amoka found her. You're crying? Amoka asked quietly. Chioma's voice broke. I don't know how to live like this, she whispered. I don't know how to be normal. Amoka sat beside her. Then learn, she said. Chioma wiped her tears. I'm sorry for everything, she said, her voice shaking. I was wicked. Amoka nodded slowly. Change, she said, is the real apology. Something changed in Chioma after that night. She began to greet people. She began to help Madam Ifeoma willingly. She began to study. She began to smile without pride. Even the village girls who once laughed at her were surprised. You don't change, oh, Chinelo said one day, watching Chioma carry water with calmness. Chioma smiled slightly. I had to, she replied. The old me almost died. When her father came to visit months later, he didn't recognize the girl that ran to kneel before him. Daddy. Chioma said, her voice soft. I'm sorry. Mr. Okafor stared at her like he was dreaming. My daughter. He whispered, pulling her into a tight hug. Chioma's eyes filled with tears. I want to make you proud, she said, and her father nodded. You already are, he replied. Back in Lagos, Chioma returned to her old school, this time with a new heart. When she saw a junior girl being mocked, she stepped in. Stop that, she warned. Don't use pride to destroy someone. The bullies were shocked. Chioma, who used to be the queen of insults, was now protecting others, and that was when everyone knew the village did what money could never do. It healed her. That night, as the Okafor family ate together in peace, Mrs. Okafor smiled softly. My baby, she said, you didn't complain about food today. Chioma smiled and looked at her parents. Because food is blessing, she answered. Mr. Okafor nodded proudly. I'm proud of you, Chioma. Chioma's eyes shone, and for the first time, she didn't feel proud because she was rich. She felt proud because she had finally become human.